Good morning, everyone. I'm just getting ready here. We've got a lot going on, and hopefully you can see me all right. You know, we have our internet. I've got so much that I wanted to talk to you about today. So I was thinking I need to try to simplify some of the things that I wanted to talk to you about. So let's see. I wanted to share with you a lot of different ideas and tips and techniques of things that we were talking about this past week. Plus, I've been working on projects. We've got a lot to look at over there. And I think before I go over to the table and start showing you some of the projects that we worked on, I'm just going to go down the list of different things that I thought was super cool. Actually, I want to make sure that I didn't eliminate my window there. So let's go here and take a look here. And I hope everybody is doing well. Let's see, where did it all go? There, it's hidden behind everything. There we are. Okay, so what I have here, I just need to limited space in what I'm looking at here. So everybody that is in my mailing list would have received an email about, let's take a look at the upcoming courses. We've got new ones starting next week, and I've got the Waves and Water starting right here, along with, since spring is starting, we have some other floral courses. Excuse me. The Bold Rich Saturated Colors, or Flowers actually, that's going to be starting. The Fearless Flowers 3 is going to be starting, and we have a one-day workshop on the 27th of the Spring Daffodils. So I'm going to go down here so you can get an idea of what we have right here. This is included in the Fearless Flowers lesson, and why we have two compositions in that particular course because they're very in-depth. It's not like I just want you to fill colors in and call it good. I want to show you why things are working, how to get what you want, work with that watercolor blend, bridge those gaps, especially like in this composition. You can see we've got a great big split right down the middle, and how do we bridge that? Now, if hopefully the internet's behaving, and we'll see, and for all of the, I'll show you how to get to this in case you did not get the email. This is our big, bold, saturated color. We have 4 different designs in this, and what we're trying to do again is get your color intensity up, work with large shapes, giving you the techniques that I did when I had my largest, let me see what you're seeing here. Oh, you can't see what I'm seeing. Why is that? Okay. Darn it. So I'm going through all the tabs thinking that you can see everything, but you can't. So now, just trying to do something different. Always some pleasure on figuring this out. Let's see, here we go. Now you should be able to see it. So actually, this solves another issue that, or not doesn't solve something, but what I have here is that I think that we're seeing this better within YouTube instead of the Facebook group. And what I would actually prefer to do is do the meetings on Zoom. But I know not everybody wants to access Zoom and then also bring it over to YouTube. So that is what I would like to do. And I'll talk to my members, or my members can go ahead and put that in the chat and tell me if that sounds like a good resolution for you. So now what I just learned here is that I can't just flip through the tabs like I would normally do in Zoom. I have to do that differently on this platform. So it's a lot of juggling. So I'm going to go back to this. You get the idea. We have all our courses that are coming up right here. This is the image that you would see in the Fearless Flowers 2. That's one of the images, and we're trying to, like I said, go more in depth. It's not just filling color in. I want you to build it up, shape your images, and go from there. And then here we have Bold Rich Saturated Color, so it's a large shape, and using the amount of water. And the other reason why I couldn't see that you weren't seeing exactly what I saw is just because the way the platform's set up. And then we have our Spring Daffodils, which is going to be a day workshop coming up March 27th. And I did not put on here my upcoming Waves course because we just have already so many students in that. or in my mind, I need to take a look and see if I'm going to allow any more in. And let's go ahead, take another look at, let's see. So what I wanted to do and talk to you about is that I have some lighting ideas for you that we talked about in other courses. And I'm going to go to this tab right here so I can close that. This is the flamingo, just so you can see I've got this for kids and beginners. It's excellent. Even if you are far away from a child, you can go ahead and paint with them. There's this one, and that's available on my website or YouTube channel. And let's see, we've got see if I want to do I also have another owl. Oh, here, I'll show you the owl. Just this little owl here. It's really fun. And the idea on this one is trying to keep a great big highlight in the center and trying to work with your brush strokes on the outside. Again, that's on my YouTube channel. And I'm afraid to close any of those other little windows because I don't want things just to disappear on me. Now, one thing, let's see, just changes things the way I have to operate and navigate this. I've got a really cool a color theory calculator that I want to show you, but as I'm going through my links here, what I want to do is take a look at some options of some lighting that we talked about this week. And I believe it was Kimberly that suggested this, and I was going to put a link to it within the chat, but I don't think I can actually navigate both of those things at the same time. So we were talking about how to get good lighting in the studio. And here she liked this one a lot. And I'm really interested in looking into something like this too. You can change it. It's dimmable and it goes up to 56,000 or 5,000 kelvins. So it's actually going to give you a really good quality of light in your studio, especially if you're painting in a basement or if you've got some lighting issues. We all do, because not everybody has that wonderful north light coming at us. And let's see what else we've got here. We've got some really interesting graphic material, and I'm going to show you that in a second. And this was another lighting option that I think it was Joanna that really liked this. So that is something to look at too. It's Mountain Dog Softbox Lighting Kit. And the other option is even just using a daylight bulb or an adjustable bulb within your like a little lamp that you have or something with an arm, or an OT light. That works nicely too. So let's take a look at what else. It's just so much easier for me to navigate the Zoom than this, but it'll work. And let's take a look if there's anything else here. One thing here is the graphics material. Oh, I want to show you a little bit about this too. So what's interesting about this is I ran into a little issue yesterday that I wanted to work with. So this is Graphics Duralar Wet Media Film. Now, this company makes a lot of different kinds of films, so you want to make sure that you're getting the Duralar Wet Media Film. And that's because the acetate surface will be able to accept the water and color, and I'll show you what you can do with that in just a second. It's really great if you're trying to figure out different areas and how to navigate and change things or change the colors. Now, you know, I have mentioned that in other times, but I want to show it to you. So this, just going through each individual tab is a little frustrating, actually. Okay, and then this is really what I wanted to show you, which is super cool. Okay, this is a color wheel, which is awesome, and it's by Canva, right up here, canva.com, color wheel / color wheel, color wheel, you got it. All right, so here with this cool thing, okay, you can take a look. It talks to you about different types of applications like the I can't even say it, Andriatic. I can't talk this morning. I'm a little tired, right? With that time difference in the complementary colors. So basically what this is, if you look right here, this choose your color combination. Let's say if I want to go to the complementary colors right here, this is going to give you an idea of the complementary colors. Now you can always work with a regular color wheel, but this is really a fun tool. So you can see here, these are the complementary colors. And if you wanted to work with complementary colors, you could have these two colors side by side. And when they're side by side, they actually make the other color more vibrant. They stand out a bit more. So, but when you mix them together, then it becomes neutral. But you can see all the different variations, and you can move this around too to get different ideas. Now, what I think is really, really neat about this is if you go to like a triad, let's say you want to work in a triad, this is some really cool options that it gives you, and you can again move it around like that to decide what colors you want to work with. And why I found this last week, and I thought what would be really fun is that we were working with our little barns and ranches. Let's see if I can find something kind of close. It doesn't have to be that close. Let's see if I go to the complementary colors. Let's go to complementary. Basically, this was the complementary colors, because with the barn that I wanted to work with, we were using a lot of blues and yellows, and that worked out very nicely. We don't need a lot of colors. But then I thought, well, what if we completely change it and go for maybe orange grass, this kind of sky, or do vice versa? You know, I actually think that this turquoise sky might be interesting, and then having this as our grass. And I can show you the idea in just a second, but it gives you all these different variations, and it's really super cool and fun to use. So you would just change it right there. And if you want to work with a variation right there, and it's something that I really suggest that you explore. Now that should cover all those main things that I really wanted to show you today. And when I do open up the tabs, that also can make the internet lag a little bit more. So hopefully it'll be better. And I'm going to go over to my table in just a second. But before I do, I want to take a look at some of the paintings that came in. Let's take a look at this. Now, oh, there we go. Now, last week we worked on the waterfall, and it was really fun to see what you came up with. And we can always expand with different colors, but the idea again is leaving that space white for the waterfall and just using our brush strokes. So you can get an idea here. Everybody did an outstanding job. And here so what I'm really looking at is something in particular, and I'm going to talk to you about that in just 1 second. So I'm just going through all of these, and what I'm looking at are your brush strokes. So what I'm thinking about with these is I would like you to, as you continue to work on the waterfalls or play with things like that, get a little wiggle in your wrist, loosen it up a bit. Don't try to draw it on. You're doing a fantastic job. Just try to wiggle it a bit more. Now let's go back to this. Oops, there we go. And here. Now, and this one is wonderful too. I love that. That's great. Good reflection. What I would do is consider bringing a little bit of that blue into your wet sand there. So that way you would have that reflection of the sky into your wet sand. And here, this is great. Like I said, that's a fun one to do for adults and kids. You don't have to be super invested. We don't need to create a masterpiece, but you're learning an awful lot. And what you're learning right here is the use of watercolor right there, trying to get it nice and smooth and transparent. I would also loosen up a few of those edges if you want to give the impression of the feathers a bit more. But again, this would be very similar to what we do in our rocks class. We're looking for our highlights. And in this thing, you know, this little flamingo, now it may seem like, well, it's just a flamingo, but what you're again working on and using is practicing the amount of water in the palette, and you're doing an excellent job. So if anybody is thinking, oh, that's not necessarily a super advanced painting, that isn't what I'm looking at. I'm looking at your techniques. That's what's most important. So here, when we're looking at this one, it's very loose. You're doing an excellent job. And why I'm saying this is I'm looking at how you're losing some of those edges, which is wonderful. Now, what would be fascinating with this is if you went to that little color wheel that I gave you and tried to play with that a little bit more. And the same thing here, loosen up your strokes. I think those strokes are you need a bit more water in there, and try to not just dab, work with that wrist. Let's take a look at this. Okay, excellent job there. Again, play with those colors. And this was wonderful too. And we're working on our rock, sand, and sea glass course, so you're doing a great job. I don't know if you're in it right now, but you're doing a great job with what we're trying to do here. The shadows are a little heavy, so try not to have so many layers in there. Try to get it down in one pass. Your shells are wonderful, and you can keep them loose like that, or if you want to have a cleaner edge, just press a little harder on your brush as you go along the outside of it. Okay, so let's move over to the table for 1 second. And oops, wrong thing. Okay, there we go. Okay, so last week, after our meeting here, let me try to move this. Last week after our meeting, we have our Beyond the Courses group, which is people that have been with me for a while and have gone through the courses. And I gave them a challenge, which I think you might find really fascinating too. So what we all did was one particular painting. Everybody had 30 minutes to do it. And it's something that we do occasionally, which is an awful lot of fun. It will loosen that wrist up, and it forces you to use different brushes along with maybe try different things, not just a round brush. It'll get you away of some old habits. So that's something to think about. And I might have this and I'll edit it, and you might be able to see that later, but I want you to get the idea. Then this last weekend, what we did was working on these little barns, like I mentioned. And if you wanted to use, let's see if I bring that down a little bit more for you, if possible. Okay, let's see. It doesn't want to move, I guess. There we go. Okay, because I don't want them just to look like little spots for you. So basically, like, again, using that idea of those, that color wheel, if you wanted to take, even though you just have a simple design here, let's see if we can find one, something like that, just a simple house, or you can do it with 1 or 2 pairs. I think that would make it more interesting than just a shape. But here we have a house. Let's say I had a different color sky. Remember, let's say I had a turquoise sky or a different blue and different color grass. I think it's something to really explore. And what was really fun about this is that it helped everybody keep their color consistent. And it looks really simple, but it's not necessarily as easy as you think. Let's see, we'll try to get things like that. So it was wonderful that everybody ended up with 4 paintings. You could create a series on that, and that would be fun to play with those colors. And then in the class, what we found, what was also fascinating, which I'd like to explore more, is we had a student that submitted a painting, and I was showing them how to loosen it up a little bit. Now, my goal today was to try to show you and play the video for you, but with the internet, it's not going to work. It's going to be, it's already hard enough like this. But what was fun is working with a dry brush technique here, changing the slats over here. So basically, what I would do is for the dry brush technique, is use the side of the brush. So I grab the tooth of the paper. For here, instead of drawing everything on like most people will have a tendency to do and clutching the brush, I'm going to use a flat brush and try to just give the impression of bigger shapes. And then down here, more of a wet and a wet, because the background on his particular painting had a lot of little dabs. So we wanted to eliminate it. And now this really isn't a developed painting. It was just showing him how to work with his painting instead of all the little lines. And I thought that would be a fascinating class to see your paintings and then try to simplify them. So then here, another question that somebody had was about the framing without glass. Now you have that within your, so let me find that. We talked about that. And thinking about that little owl, okay, remember that highlight? That's how we could apply it into a rock. This here could be like that little owl. It's not an owl. It's just that working with that highlight. We're using the same concept and then working with the shadows to get depth. Now this is on the cradle board. So you can see here, that's that deep cradle like this. Their question was, can you just attach it to a regular board? The problem with that is no, you can't, because what happens is there's acid in wood. You need an archival surface. Now, the reason why I don't necessarily like to do this that much is because I like the deckled edges of the paper. And when I did this was actually before they had those aluminum panels available, which I think is really neat and something I might explore. Let's go out a little bit more. Okay, and there. So it's just something, it's a process. You need an archival surface, and then you have to really work your way through it, wet the back of the paper, put your, what do you call that? That soft gel media on, attach it, work out those bubbles, and then seal it. Now let's look at, as you can tell, I'm not going in depth in that. So if we look at this, you can see this has a matte finish, which I prefer. And you've got to build it up, because if you end up with a lot of not enough layers on top of it, it can look weird. And what I don't like is actually, you can see this has a gloss finish. With the gloss finish, it ends up changing it. It amplifies the colors, which are nice, but it also doesn't look like that wonderful watercolor that's why we're doing this. Okay, let me scoot that over to the side. And one thing I worked on yesterday, which I'm going to develop into another course, is this one. Okay, now the original painting on this was a 30 by 40, so it was really large. And when I did this originally, I don't know where I put my reference photo, but the reference photo had this stem in there. Right now, this is too light. I need to work on that, push it back. But I liked it when I originally put it in because it fit the idea, but I don't have any flowers down here to carry this all the way down. So I had to figure out, okay, I want to remove that or at least try to give it in there. Anyway, that's what the whole idea is about. And here I took the same composition, but then led the eye with a little bit of that and pulled out this in front. And what's fascinating with this one is trying to work with this, kind of folding it over, the same thing over here, and then pushing it in the center. Now with the, let's see, I've got two things that I wanted to show you because people are asking. I was looking at the questions that people had, and the questions were those plastic sheets. I'll show you those plastic sheets like this. It's from Tap Plastics. You can order them for about $8. This one is like a polymer right here. It's clear if you want that. And then you can see there's white and gray. I was going to go ahead and put the link in the chat if I can get to that, or I'll put it within the groups. Now here, this is the Duralar wet media film. Like this. It accepts color. I'll show you in a second. Just like that. Now, some people like to actually paint on this, just like that, and then just layer their stacking acetate film. So you can do that too. But basically, you can paint on it and then just remove remove it with water. So let's take a look. So let's see, I think how about this? Let's remove this first. So that's the wonderful thing about this. That is, now what happens, it can be a little tricky sometimes because they change their, it seems like they change their packaging all the time, or quite often, at least I've seen that. And so then it's hard to know which one to get. So make sure it says wet media film. I'm going to go over that. Let's put this on top of our painting so we can take a look right there and see. Let's say I wanted to make some areas darker. Let's go in right there. And let's see. Now, this is not going to be exactly like watercolor paper, obviously, but it'll give you an idea. It can help you if you want to think about where do you want to go darker, or where do you want to add an entirely different color. So here I might go, let's say go blue back here. Let me see how that turns out. Or if I want to go, of course I wouldn't go blue, but I want you to see how this works. Because let's say I'm looking for a darker value back there and I am really not thinking about my colors. Let's just try to get something in there. Maybe I'll add a little bit of the quinacridone gold into my blue. Okay, so basically trying to get an idea now, does that barn stand out more? Is that what I'm looking for? Or maybe that disappears over there, that's standing out. I like that highlight back there. I can try to get the impression of what it might look like. Maybe I'll put a little more over here so I can see, oh yeah, there's the barn, but I don't want, of course, we're not going to leave it this way. This is just giving us an idea. Or what if I decided I wanted to make, thinking about that color wheel, what if I decided I wanted to try to do something entirely different? Okay, so at least it gives you something that you can play with. And then just wipe it off. Okay, let's see if there's any other questions that came in. And actually, I'm curious about if, I don't know where I put my questions here, but I'm curious about if you did any waterfalls last week, or what did you find out? What questions do you have? Was there anything that was interesting for you or that you discovered? So just let me know. And let's take a look at the chat. Okay. All righty, I'm just going to go take a look here. It looks like the Canva, you tried the Canva and the canvas, and you cannot find the color wheel. All right, so you know what? Let me go into, let's do this. I'm going to see if I can make a, let's see, where is it? I'm going to go ahead and post that. We've got the lights. I'm going to go find the links and put them in. Sometimes I can't make a comment. Okay, this is for the light. Okay, you should be able to see that. Excellent. Oh, yay. I'm so glad that's working. That's for the light. And this is going to be for the other light. Okay, so you can go ahead and check the that, and let's find the there was a vinyl surface that I wanted to show you, but I think I'll save that for next time. And let's see, where in the world? Okay, where did my little thing go? So it looks like you found the color wheel in there. Like I'm looking for the right link. I had it up here, and where did it go? Okay, that's always the fun thing. Oh, the tap plastics. Let me find that link. That's going to go into the chat. Now this is for tap plastics. There you go. And let's see if there's anything else. Like I just had it on here and I cannot, oh, there it is. Of course, it's in big bold letters, and that, so I didn't forget it, but of course I can't see it. All right, so this is the color wheel. Okay, so I think you're going to have an awful lot of fun with that color wheel. Enjoy yourself. And if you have any other questions or comments, let me know. And I'm just taking a look at your comments right here. Yes, it is difficult moving the wrist. Just think about just like that. Because actually, when you're painting, I want you to think about, where are you painting from? Are you painting from your wrist, your fingers, your arm, your whole body? Now, we talked about that a little bit in my class earlier this week. Let's see, let me go back, and then this will be the last thing I'll discuss. See if I can get out of that and not make my face so big, maybe. There we go. Go out a little bit. So what we talked about is in the Fearless Flowers course is that when you are painting from your fingers and from your wrist, you're basically trying to think more. It's more from your brain. What we want is it to be a more artistic process. So if you notice, just even that awareness is a big deal. So also if you think, okay, I'm just painting from my fingertips, my wrist, or I'm painting from my arm, or are you sweeping your arm? So that is something that we can talk about more next time. So until then, I will let you go. And let's see, Sue, where are the notifications on YouTube? I don't know. I don't know what that means. So, all right, everybody, I will catch you all next time. And hopefully this worked out. We'll see. I think what I'd like to do is try to do it through Zoom. And if you're okay with that, let me know. Put it in the chat. And it can also go to YouTube. All right, everybody, take care, have fun, and happy painting. Bye-bye.